Shalom, hallelujah, praise Yah.
Shabbat Shalom from under the dome.
Exactly. I forgot to pull up. We're in a very unique situation this Sabbath. We're in Ohio, first of all, and at my friend Ryan's house.
And I have my pop too.
You mind?
And I have 3 pop tubes. So. Oh my gosh!
This isn't Popoid toy time. And so we got it all set up here. Look at that. You can see, no, you can't see the banana tree because of the green screen. Well, you can kind of see the outline of it there. Ryan's banana tree. We gotta wait for some people to come on here and let me know how the stream is going. So, what's a song to sing, Zemi? Do you know one?
How green is our God? I don't know.
Oceans?
Oceans? That's too hard.
We just cue the drum track.
Is the chat even on? Yes, the chat's on. We just haven't had anyone.
What a beautiful name it is.
What a beautiful name.
Go ahead.
What a beautiful name.
Well, you gotta put on the music, silly.
And yes, we're just trying to get established with connections and everything and make sure, because I've never streamed from here before, and we're trying to figure out if my data would work better or Wi-Fi. As you can see, this is part 2 of Shevaim 70 nations, and what you see in the background is this is the Sanhedrin logo, I believe is what it is. Laura, Shabbat Shalom, good to have you. Just pulling up my chat on my computer. I'm all set up here, so praise Yah. Let me know. There's Jeremy, and there's Michael.
There's
Paulina.
The cat.
Good morning, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. How's the stream going? Let me know in the comments if you don't mind, just so I can be sure. And Cindy,
Can you put the cat
hey,
on?
Shabbat Shalom. No, I'm not worried about showing cats. Hope everyone's blessed today and all prepared to keep the Sabbath holy together.
Paulina's a flat earther.
But yes, I have my friend Ryan with me. Actually, I'm with him. I'm at his humble abode in Ohio, and I had asked him if he had a topic, but he didn't give me a topic, so I had to come up with my own topic. Shabbat Shalom, Robert. But if at the end, if you want to say anything, testimony-wise or anything you want to share, I'll give you the floor for 60 seconds. No, no, you're good. Okay.
We'll see. If the Spirit leads.
if the Ruach leads,
yes,
maybe Ryan will say something at the end. But for starters, we're going to be getting back into the number Shevaim. 70 was what Yah led me into. And Robert is with us. Praise Yah. Laura wants to see a cat. Where'd it go?
Oh, it's gone now.
Yeah, Paulina's gone now.
Sorry,
Take them around and show them the chickens.
long
later.
gone. Yeah, I could take you over to the chickens in a little while. But this again is another topic that, well, I was surprised there would be a part 2 on 70. I thought we covered the number 70
Well, I
pretty
could bring Bernie out.
pretty in depth last Shabbat, and Yahudah the Father said there was more to talk about the number 70. So this is going to be a fascinating study, but I just want to open with a word of prayer.
Amen.
As we get into that, so that my mind can be clear. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Yahuwah Elohim, I just ask you for help and guidance in this study. May we all understand your word and understand events that are going on in these times we're living in. Help us to prepare ourselves and have our oil in our lamp, and be wise, be the wise virgins that were prepared for your return. We praise you for everything. Just give me the words to say as we go through this study. Let the stream signal be good so that everyone will be able to listen without any disturbance or disruption. And we thank you for it all in Yahushua HaMashiach's name. Amen.
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 So, let's get the chat here. There it is. William is with us. Laura is with us. You've got it pulled up on yours. It's oh, you're about 10 seconds behind, huh?
That's always how it is. Yeah.
But it's
There's a delay.
smooth. Is it smooth?
Yeah, it's smooth. I
It's
haven't
going
seen-
smooth. Awesome.
Yeah, looking good.
Okay, so let's begin this study. Last week we went over, what did we go over? Does anyone remember what we went over about the number 70? And on top of 70, I wanted to go to the number 10. You know, some really interesting things are going on for us in these times. We had the 10 commandments of the New World Order get demolished and bulldozed over this week, and so that's an interesting 10 commandments there, the New World Order. And we certainly know that that doesn't please Yahuwah one little iota for man to make up a version of 10 commandments for humanity. We know that we were already given a perfect 10 commandments for humanity, and that was of course given to Moses. And that got me thinking about the 10 kingdoms, and what could the 10 kingdoms be, or the 10 horns that scripture talks about. And so I thought I would just touch on that, hopefully quickly, but let's actually go to the 10 kingdoms first. I don't know if anyone has any theories of what they think the 10 kingdoms might be, but I want to go ahead and look at that, and that's going to begin in the book of Daniel, actually. The book of Daniel. Boy, help me not to be nervous here in front of Ryan, y'all. Let's see. Daniel 2, I've got verse 40. Daniel 2:40, and this is where the dream of the statue of Babel. So remember, when we're talking about 70 nations, the languages were confused and divided into 70 nations and 70 languages at the Tower of Babel. Well, Nebuchadnezzar in the book of Daniel has a dream about a statue, which is, of course, it's Babel. He's the king of Babylon. And it says, you know, there's the head of gold and then the shoulders of, what is it, silver or bronze? And then the midsection is of bronze, I think. I think it does go gold, silver, bronze, and then the legs of iron. And the legs of iron is this fourth kingdom. And it says, the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaks in pieces and subdues all things. And as iron that breaks all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. So the iron is going to be what's symbolic of Rome. Rome is going to be the kingdom that overtakes the kingdom before it, which is Greece and the Great, and as we know, Antiochus Epiphanes in the book of Maccabees. But Rome comes in, and it says, and whereas you saw the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, this kingdom shall be divided. So this dividing, partly of clay, partly of iron, and it's the toes. And how many toes would there be? On a normal human would be 10 toes. 10 toes. So, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as you saw the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas you saw iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So there we see the mingling of the seed, and we're actually going to talk about what I do fully believe to be another race mingling their seed. And we talked about the 70 shepherds of Enoch, and I don't know actually what Ryan believes about these things, but we talked last week about the 70 shepherds of Enoch, how they would be judged with the stars, and the possibility of these 70 heads of possibly the 70 nations being another race or watchers or fallen angels' offspring. Could that be the time of the end, that they are mingling their seed through some kind of pharmakia, that they're mingling together with mankind? But we see that there's 10 toes. We see this mixture, which could possibly be transhumanism. It could be the idea of just a melting pot of all races, and of course that makes us think of the United States of America, the melting pot of the nations. What else can we think of it as? The transhumanism agenda, the man and machine agenda, and yes, the Nephilim mixing with humans agenda. From there, if we go to, see, I had another, okay, Daniel 7, same book, just going ahead, there's going to be further information about the 10. Daniel 7 verse 20. This is going to be another vision of Daniel, and we're going to see this also in Revelation, where John the Apostle sees this same beast and helps us to just be able to connect this to the end times. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spoke very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the Kodashim, or saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the Kodashim of El Elyon, the saints of El Elyon. And the time came that the saints possess the kingdom.
Yes.
So we see that this takes place all the way up until the end. I do believe this one major horn to be the papacy. That's what I believe this to be, and we're going to go into more of Rome here. Let's see, what else? Oh, chapter 7, verse 7. I should have read 7 first. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. There we see the iron again. It devoured and broke in pieces and stamped the remnant with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. There's the 10 again. And then let's actually keep reading in verse 23.
You gotta read that.
It says, thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. Now this can be 10 kings or 10 kingdoms. 10 kingdoms that shall arise, I'm going to say, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. Now, there is a earlier manifestation of this that I'm not going to get into, but this actually did happen earlier on after the time of Messiah, where there were 10 kingdoms of Europe, and 3 of them were subdued to no longer exist. But we see that this has to happen all the way up until the end times. And so is this the case today? That's what we're asking, because this has to take place all the way up to the end. And we also have to connect this to the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 1. So maybe that's where we should go next. Did you have anything to add there, Ryan?
No, just reading over it again.
All right.
Where'd you say to next?
Revelation 13. just so we can read it. We'll see this same beast in the book of Revelation, and this kind of helps us piece it together. But the fourth kingdom is Rome, and Rome begins around, at the time of Messiah. Of course, this was who crucified Messiah, along with the Jews, of course, putting him to death. But Rome pronounced the verdict upon Messiah, and this was the beast of Messiah's day, and this kingdom divides and spreads out and takes over the whole earth, this beast Roman kingdom. So Revelation 13:1 says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns." So there we see the 10 horns again. "And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy." So 10 horns with 10 crowns. And then I don't know that we have to, well, we'll keep reading a little bit more just to fill everybody in and get everyone thinking on this clearly. "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority," which, by the way, that reminds us that the United Nations came out with a statue, and it was called Peace and Security.
Yeah, why'd they get rid of that?
Did they get rid of it?
Well, I don't know. You're not talking about the cheetah-looking thing?
The cheetah-looking thing, and it kind of had these same
Yeah,
qualities of this beast of Revelation. They got rid of it.
Real quick.
I don't know that it was meant to be permanent, but
Okay.
because they were making several different statues, but the name of the statue was about peace and security.
Mm-hmm.
Peace and security. So let's keep reading. So that United Nations, we connect to this peace and security. What else can we connect the United Nations to? Well, we connected it to the 70 nations last week. Okay, verse 3, "And I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast." So we know that the papacy was cut off by Napoleon in the 1700s, and then we see the deadly wound healed of the papacy in actually the Lateran Treaty 1929, but it was really made official in 1947 or 48, I believe it was, which is fascinating because that's the time Israel was being recognized as a state, was in 1947. And that gets us to another 70. And then 1948, the United Nations recognized Israel in 1947, and then in 1948 they officially became a nation. So you kind of have 2 years there that you could count from. So people kind of debate as to when the 70-year anniversary would be for Israel as a nation. Would it be in 2017 or in 2018? Well, big events happened in both 2017 and 2018. This what we see here is representing what they were celebrating in that 70th year of Israel. So the papacy, the beast, comes back to life. And you know, this Roman beast is, well, we might think of Europa or just Europe, but I'm going to show a map actually of how even today they've divided up the world into 10 global sections, and I'm going to show that here, Yah willing, on my computer. Hopefully, has it been choppy at all over there, or has it been going well? Let's see if, can we see the computer screen here? This might be tricky to do, but here we go. Can't hardly see what I'm showing you. Is it green screened out a little bit?
No, it's showing it.
Okay, cool. This is the Club of Rome. The Club of Rome, which I think we saw last week, the Club of Rome being connected to the United Nations. I don't remember if we made that connection, but here we will. The Club of Rome, founded in 1968, the Club of Rome is a global think tank that deals with a variety of international political issues. According to its website, the Club of Rome is composed of scientists, economists, businessmen, international high civil servants, heads of state, and former heads of state from all 5 continents who are convinced that the future of humankind is not determined once and for all, and that each human being can contribute to the improvement of our societies. And you see this map here. Number 1 is the US and Canada. It says the 10 kingdoms, the 10 regions originated with the Club of Rome think tank and was established by the United Nations. There we see the connection. The Club of Rome and the United Nations established these 10 kingdoms. I know Ryan knows all about the United Nations. He's been kind of calling that out for a while, and he's correct. The Club of Rome was given the task of uniting Europe and dividing the world into manageable blocks. Here's a map of the world divided into 10 economic regions, which the United Nations and the Club of Rome call the 10 Kingdoms. From Gary Cause en route to global occupation, page 40. The Club of Rome had its beginnings in April of 1968. The Club of Rome has been charged with the task of overseeing the regionalization and unification of the entire world. The club could therefore be said to be one step above the Bilderbergers in the one world hierarchy. On September 13th, 1973, the club released one such report entitled Regionalized and Adaptive Model of the Global World System. The document reveals that the club has divided the world into 10 political economic regions, which it refers to as kingdoms.
Wow.
As the 10 kingdoms regions come together even more in preparation for the reign of the world ruler, we will see regionalizing of money, then a globalization of monetary exchange or cashless society. This is what they talk about, and then they go into what the 10 kingdoms are. And I'll just read one more thing here about this, because I did want to just highlight this of what this 10, since we had their 10 commandments get destroyed this week, and this gets more into the secrecy side, the secret societies, but I mean, this is what's out there, you know, this is what's out there. Of course, the Georgia Guidestones are more mysterious. We don't know who is the author, but I think we can more or less conclude logically as to who is behind all these things, and but it certainly has to do with the secret societies of the world. Here we see just an article. The Club of Rome is a global think tank that deals with a variety of international political issues. It was founded in 1968 at David Rockefeller's estate in Bellagio, Italy, but the organization moved its headquarters to Winterthur, Switzerland in 2008. The Club of Rome describes itself as a group of world citizens sharing a common concern for the future of humanity. It brought global considerations to public attention in 1972 with its report, The Limits to Growth. The club states that its mission is to act as a global catalyst for change through the identification and analysis of the crucial problems facing humanity and the communication of such problems to the most important and private decision makers as well as to the general public. And then I'll just skip down and read, let's see, in 1993, the club published the first global revolution. According to this book, divided nations require common enemies to unite them. Common enemies to unite them. What did we see? We saw a pandemic happen of an enemy to humanity. Where is it here? Where were we? Either a real one or else one invented for the purpose.
Wow.
Because of the lack of traditional enemies, new enemies must be identified. In searching for a new enemy to unite us, we camp up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. All these dangers are caused by human intervention, and it is only through changed attitudes and behavior that they can be overcome. The real enemy then is humanity itself, and this is a quote from them saying this. In 2009, the organization established a 3-year program on a new path for world development, which declared the global issues which were the focus of the 1972 report, Limits to Growth, are even more severe and urgent today. The project has 5 issue areas: environment and resources, globalization, international development, social transformation, and peace and security. There is the peace and security. We'll go to that in the scripture in a moment. The social transformation issue is one area that concerns me. This cluster relates social change, gender equity, values and ethics, religion and spirituality, culture, identity, and behavior. It states that the values and behavior on which the present path of the world development is based must change if peace and progress are to be preserved within the tightening human and environmental limits. The changes in values, ethics, religion, and spirituality are to move us to a one-world government and religion which they believe will sustain us in the future. They state that entire set of beliefs and behavior have become outdated and counterproductive and need to be replaced by new thinking and new approaches. And there you see what?
Happened.
The Georgia Guidestones. New thinking and new approaches. Always leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. That's what the Georgia Guidestones said, which now is non-existent. Praise Yah.
Praise Yah.
I mean, I know there's some other theories, but I do have to just praise Yah at the moment for that they aren't there. I live in the same state where they were set up, erected. And so yeah, peace and security, let's actually go there real quick. 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 3. Verse 1, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of Yahudah so comes as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, peace and safety, and by the way, Trump and Netanyahu were signing and saying peace and safety. They were signing together back around the 70-year anniversary. So that's where this number 70 really comes up again. But as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So sudden destruction as what? As birth pangs, beginnings of sorrows. And this is really what we're looking forward to with seeing all the signs of what we've seen, is this sudden destruction. And it tells us that, it goes on to say, ye brethren are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. You're not in darkness, that it'll overtake you as a thief. Ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. So should this be a thief in the night to us?
Nope.
No, it actually should not. We should see the signs jumping out at us. I couldn't believe this week. I went to the laundromat, and not only did my dream get fulfilled when I was in the laundromat, because I had a dream of a woman grieving the death of her husband, and I went to the laundromat and there was a woman talking to me grieving the death of her husband. And there were two ladies in the laundromat at the campground, and one talked about earthquakes that have been happening in Georgia, and the other woman was from South Carolina, and she talked about a bunch of earthquakes that have been happening in South Carolina. And I thought, okay, two women here both talking about earthquakes in the two states that I go back and forth between. If this is not birth pangs of the earth, the earth is oftentimes referred to as a woman who will go into these birth pangs. The earth will, they're destroying our earth, and they're trying to scare us with things such as global warming. We know that they're creating this. Of course, they're creating this enemy. We know we're ahead of the game. We just read that they said we can even make it up. So they will introduce these enemies to the world, that it's actually planned. So we're ahead. Confirmation of your dreams. You were handpicked, brother. Well, thank you, Cindy. So I couldn't believe that happened, that I had, and then it was brought to pass. in that moment. And then they were both talking about all these earthquakes, that there are earthquakes going on throughout the world. And so the same word used in 1 Thessalonians 5 about the sudden destruction as travail upon a woman, it's the same Greek word used in Matthew 24, that when it says 24:8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. That sorrows is birth pangs. It's the same travail that comes upon this woman, sudden destruction, in 1 Thessalonians 5:3. Same exact Greek word, it's just translated differently into English. But it has to do with birth pangs, like contractions. The earth is going through contractions, about to give it up. It's about to give it up and about to bring on a new child, which New Jerusalem will be the new child, so to speak, where will a residence for us, a new residence. Praise Yah. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. You know, and for my name's sake, don't we see that happening today? That people are just about his name, that all this argumentation, and even hating one another if they say Yahusha or Jesus or Yahweh or Yahuwah. People just get angry with you if you don't say it correctly. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many, and because the transgression of Torah shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this Besora, gospel of the kingdom, shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. And when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso reads, let him understand. Then let him which be in Judea flee into the mountains. So preaching the gospel to all nations. And that gets me to the topic of this abomination of desolation. Actually, I just came across incidentally of another layer of the abomination of desolation, not the pharmakia jab, in this case in the temple of the body, but this actually has to do with, right in Jerusalem, a synagogue that has been built. And I just fell across this week, and my computer went to sleep. Let me wake it back up here. That brings us back to the topic of 70. And this was so, I just have to share real quick. This is Ryan's fault. I blame Ryan because I was looking through our past messages for his address and phone number to send it to my ex-wife so she can know which, oh yeah, I gave my ex-wife her number.
Oh, man.
So that she could know where they live. And I found a video he shared with me, and that's where I got this background. And I came across this synagogue that exists. Do you remember sharing that video with me?
Yes, most likely.
And it was from Leland Jones.
Yeah.
Leland Jones, and it was right beside the message about his address he gave me. So
Awesome.
I said,
Yeah,
oh,
awesome.
wow, that's what I'm studying. And I clicked it and I watched it and I thought, wow, this is, I have to share this. So, but just real quickly, what did we go over last week, if I can share this, we gotta pave the road here. We went over this United Nations with 7 Noahide Laws, the United Nations in 2013 in New York, on the heels of the Lubavitcher, members of the UN Diplomatic Corps, UN press officers, and other officials gathered at the UN headquarters in New York to learn how the 7 Noahide Laws must play a key role in international efforts for world peace. World peace. So do we remember that they're trying to establish these Noahide laws, another layer of, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. And of course the United Nations connects to the Sanhedrin. And the 7 Noahide laws, of course, are not holy for us. They diminish from Torah. Do not add or diminish from the Torah, the law. So there is some of the biblical laws in there, but of course it's, when it says that that's the only thing that we have to follow, we know that that's not good for us. We had the 70 nations invited to dedicate the third temple altar in 2017. Now, this is actually huge, and this is where what I found Ryan had messaged me put it all together. I could not believe how huge this is, that they invited the 70 nations to celebrate the dedicating of the altar of the third temple at their 70th birthday. Huge, all these 70s. In the spirit of Hanukkah, the Nascent Sanhedrin has invited the 70 nations of the world to attend the dedication of the altar designated for the third temple. And we read that last week, so I won't read it again. There's just another look at it. The Sanhedrin inviting the 70 nations. And we kind of went over how the Feast of Sukkot was when Solomon dedicated the altar, which we'll go over that in a minute here, was at the Feast of Tabernacles, and it was a feast for all nations, and they would sacrifice 70 bulls, one for each of the 70 nations. What else did we go over as we are exposing all these false entities? We're going to get into some scripture in a minute here, I promise. We're only 48 minutes into this study. We got plenty of time. And maybe I'll be able to look at some of the comments. Where was I going? Hanukkah. Oh, Solomon did it in Sukkot, and it's the Sukkot tabernacles is for all nations. And we see in Zechariah 14, we read this recently together, that all nations would come up to the Feast of Tabernacles to celebrate Messiah, right? Sukkot. It says all the goyim, that's the Hebrew word, all the goyim, all the Gentiles, all the 70 nations. And we saw how this has its first fulfillment is at the birth of Messiah. When he comes, he's born at tabernacles, he's born in a sukkah, and all nations to receive that outpouring and to see the glory of Yahudah would have to come to tabernacles at that time, at the first advent of Messiah. The next thing I want to get into is what we had talked about with this Sanhedrin entity. I wanted to just, I know I hate having to read about the evil so much on Shabbat. I wish I could spend more time just in scripture, but I've felt led. I got led to this evil, which is now a book. It's been translated. It's called the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. And this has a lot of evil in it, but I couldn't believe it. I got led to this week, and I just recently even realized I had a copy of this that someone gave me and told me to read, and I hadn't read it, but I started reading it, and this is a document that was translated to English in 1897. And so it just shows, guys, of how they infiltrated everything, the churches, the schools, the governments. It's a list of protocols of how this would take place. And these are the 70 elders of Zion. And we know that we're going to Zion, at Kli Zion. That's where we're headed, you know. But a synagogue of Satan has usurped this authority. And we saw 70 elders that would be cast into the fire of judgment in the book of Enoch. So who are these 70 elders? This is just an evil document. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I saw this here. Here is what Dr. Eren Preis, chief rabbi of Sweden, said in 1924 concerning the protocols. Long have I been well acquainted with the contents of the protocols. Indeed, for many years before they were ever published in the Christian press. The protocols of the elders of Zion were, in point of fact, not the original protocols at all, but a compressed extract of the same. This is in establishing that what Wikipedia will tell us is that it's just a farce, it's just someone just made it up, but it has an introduction here that shows how it's not, even though we may not know exactly what these protocols are or who wrote them exactly, it shows and affirms how it's real. And it's scary how true all of this is playing out. That's the big point. But it says, of the 70 elders of Zion, in the matter of origin and of the existence of the original protocols, there are only 10 men in the entire world who know, is what he said. But so it mentions 70 elders of Zion. So what did we go over last week? We saw the 70 sons of Noah that divided up into the 70 nations. We saw the 70 sons of Jacob, which went down into Egypt. And then we saw the 70 elders when the 10 Commandments were given with Moses. And then again we saw 70 elders anointed over the assembly of Israel in Numbers chapter 11, I believe it was, and 2 of which were very filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, and they prophesied. Well, the scary thing is that this is a chosen idea by Yahudah. He chose this idea of 70 elders, and now this usurping of authority, it's being hijacked. And you know, usurping authority is one of the worst sins that there is. That goes back to the Garden of Eden, with Eve actually usurping the authority and divining to Adam and bringing about the fall. So this really takes us back to the fall, where Hasatan was able to usurp authority over us and bring about the fall and bring us into this type of knowledge of good and evil, that this what we now exist with. Let's see. It goes on to say things like the French Revolution was the work of their hands. So we see that Club of Rome will invent the enemies. So we can know that they are planning these things against us. And it's very important, guys, because I started talking about this and being called to call people out of the church. And I thought, this doesn't make sense, Lord. Call people out of the church. It just doesn't make sense. But when you put together the infiltration into all government systems and government entities, and they can't speak out against the science, and they shut their doors and they're listening and obeying the science, you start to put it together. And I just want to put this call out there, guys. It's more important, this is very important, that we establish communities, that we understand how to keep Sabbath holy together. We don't have to be in a 501c3 church. We can do this stuff in our communities, and we need to establish this more now than ever. We've got to be doing this. That's been something that I've been led to do since back at the beginning. But I had no idea about this when he first started leading me to this, before the pandemic went down. Just want to throw that in there. But that just before the pandemic went down was when I started trying to establish a house assembly for Sabbath. So who are the elders? This is a secret which has not been revealed. They are the hidden hand. They are the hidden hand, is what it says. And then it says...
You mean it's the left or the right, or the actual hidden hand, the one we don't see?
The hidden hand, I don't know. It says, 300 men, each of whom knows all the others, govern the fate of the European continent, and they elect their successors from their entourage. And then it gets into the symbolic snake of Judaism. We see the beast system, the symbolic snake. They actually have a symbolic snake that kind of summarizes their whole system. I'm not going to read that, but we know we know the beast which comes up out of the sea in Revelation is Leviathan. It's a serpent system. And then protocol number 1, governing them are attained by violence and terrorization. Governing them are attained by violence and terrorization. There's 24 protocols. 24 protocols. And so I'm just kind of touching on it. I'm not going to read a whole bunch of this abominable stuff. Have left to us the rights of their power by laying them down voluntarily in their liberalism. So getting us to voluntarily lay down our rights. That we saw that back with the enforcing of masks. We saw that happening. In the name of science, people voluntarily laid down their rights. This has come to pass. Only one trained from childhood for independent rule can have understanding of the words that can be made up of the political alphabet. So in politicians, they elect their own, they put their own up, they make it look as though we elect them, but they're trained from childhood. It says that this is just amazing.
They're just fancy actors.
Let's see. That we shall triumph and bring all governments into subjection to our super government. Does this not remind us of the Georgia Guidestones? It says, we shall end liberty. Let's see. The abstraction of freedom has enabled us to persuade the mob. They refer to us as the mob in all countries that their government is nothing but the steward of the people who are the owners of the country, and that the steward may be replaced like a worn-out glove. So that's what they get us thinking. We'll get a new president in there, but really they're giving us these presidents. It is this possibility of replacing the representatives of the people which has placed at our disposal and, as it were, given us the power of appointment. So they'll just appoint another one of their people that we think that we are electing, but we're really not. It's just people they've trained from when they were a child. Destructive education, this is under protocol number 2. It talks about they're arranged for Darwinianism, evolution, Marxism, communism, Nietzscheism, socialism. And it just keeps going. We support communism, poverty, our weapon, Jews will be safe. And of course they make this out to be an anti-Semite work. If you hold to any of this, you're anti-Semite. That's one of their things, to use these labels, kind of like BLM, Black Lives Matter, that if you suggest anything against that, then you are racist. We shall destroy God. Okay. Masses led by lies. Monopoly capital. We shall enslave Gentiles. Universal war. Jewish superstate. Christian youth destroyed. Wow. Our goal, world power. Poison of liberalism. We name presidents. We shall destroy. We are wolves. We control the press. Free press destroyed. So the media guys, I was talking to a doctor who was trying to talk about, the variants and everything of why the pharmakia thing wasn't successful. Well, it would have been, he said, if it wasn't for the variants. Just the complete media controlled lie. Only lies printed. We deceive workers. We shall forbid Christ. Secret societies. There's the Georgia Guidestones. Gentiles are stupid. Gentiles are cattle. We demand submission. We shall be cruel. We shall change history. We shall destroy the clergy. Government by fear. We shall destroy capital. We cause depressions. Gentile states bankrupt. Tyranny of usury. Let's see. I think that's about all the headings, but just reading the headings, you don't have to know what this is about. This is about planning and controlling everything, okay? And it mentions 70 elders. Now, this is where I want to show something, and I'm going to change the background for this. This is what was in the video that Ryan shared with me when I happened to be looking for his address to come here. There is a synagogue by the western wall. Let's go with that one. See if... Can we see that? Let me know if y'all can see that. But here, this is underground, this synagogue. It's at the western wall. And there are 70 seats here around this abomination here that perhaps is the sun. It's got a fire on top of it. I didn't know if it could be a globe or a sun, but I thought either one would be equally abominable now that we know Earth is not a globe. But let me know if you guys can see it.
It's showing up, bud.
It's showing up?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, lots of comments. Praise Yah. We see it, Brother Trevor, Windfeather says. And Karen is with us. Shabbat Shalom, Karen. Wendy Russell. Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Praise Yah. So, this is a synagogue or temple of sorts. Oh, dude, this came undone.
Yeah, let me get that.
Ryan is helping me out with my green screen. That's the only way I know to show slides is with the green screen, the way I'm set up currently. And we're going to read Ezekiel 8 in a minute about this, but you see these 70 seats for, this could be nothing other than the 70 elders. And are these the 70 elders who wrote these protocols, who perhaps are they mingling their seed with men? Are they even human is the question. Are they the ones that will be judged with the stars? Which the stars, of course, we know that's the angelic hosts of heaven. Let me look at another one. There's some other slides I want to show that they did an actual video. Okay. There's a close-up of the abomination of desolation, we'll call it, in the holy place. That's a close-up of the... See it?
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think, it's a globe?
It could be a
It's
globe.
Like a globe, is he?
Leland Jones thought it was a sun. A sun, which that would fit with Ezekiel 8. Because what... And in Ezekiel 8, 70 elders are mentioned. Digging, he says, Ezekiel, dig a hole in the wall and see the abominations. How interesting is it that you would have to go underground under the wall to see this synagogue, which has been built. It's already there.
Yeah.
Now they did a video, and let's see if this was an animated video that they put out in Israel. And here you see the Hebrew, and it says, "Renew our days as of old." That's Isaiah 1:26. So let's look at Isaiah 1:26 real quick here. We really haven't read enough scripture today. My apologies, everyone. I didn't know how really much information I had.
I think you could do a whole series on that packet of paper right there.
I wouldn't want to read that though for all of Sabbath, you know.
It's
so filthy.
Yeah. But another day.
Isaiah 1:25 says, "And I will turn my hand upon you and purely purge away your dross and take away all your tin. And I will restore your judges as at the first, and your counselors as at the beginning." So remember the 70, this is what they're wanting to do, is restore these judges, restore these counselors. That's where they put out this video. It says, "Renew our days as of old. Afterward you shall be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness." So they're trying to bring to pass this prophecy of Isaiah 1:26, and we see Zion mentioned, and they want their learned elders that we just talked about there. They want these elders to be in control of Zion, and ultimately this is to be fulfilled in a heavenly manner with the new Jerusalem that comes with Yahudah and heaven, the heavenly kingdom. But they are trying to right now restore this. So we see these things being brought to pass. I mean, these are just incredible times that we're living in. Let's go to the next slide. There's another prophecy that will be read. Let's see. What did we just read? "I will restore your judges as at the first." I'm sorry. That was this shot here. And there it is. "Restore our judges as at first." That's what we just read. I'm sorry. The other shot was from Lamentations. My apologies. Let's go to Lamentations. "Renew our days as of old" is actually from Lamentations. Who wrote the book of Lamentations? It's written by Jeremiah. And we know Jeremiah prophesied about the 70 years. The 70 years. And Daniel asks about the 70 years of Jeremiah. And we see a 70 years happen in our time, 1947 to 2017. And they're doing all of this. So Lamentations 5, let's see, verse 20. "Wherefore do you forget us forever and forsake us so long time? Turn us unto you, O Yahuwah, and we shall be turned. Renew our days as of old. But you have utterly rejected us. You are very wroth against us." So there we see that "renew our days as of old," which was in the last slide. I actually messed that up on the reference. So, and if we go back earlier in the chapter, we see The elders have ceased from the gate, the young men from their music. We see the mention of the elders. They're very concerned with these elders that have ceased from the gate. And it mentions the elders more than once, I believe, in Lamentations 5, but we won't read that whole thing right now. Let's see. Next slide would be here. The animated video had this. It says 71 seats for the Sanhedrin judges, and that's
71 seats.
That's what we've been talking about. But this is in what's yet to be built. The underground one is 70. So as to why this mistake of this error of 71, I read, and I think it has to do with not having an even vote, but we know it's about 70. Let's go to this is a temple that they supposedly want to build and haven't yet built. The underground synagogue has already been built. It's underneath the western wall. I think that's just unbelievable. And let's go to the next slide. What do these 71 elders do? Look at this one. A desk for writing the protocols. I could not believe when I saw that in the video. I screenshot it. The protocols of the learned elders of Zion. This is not just a simple restoration of Israel. This is a desire to write protocols and control the whole world from one central location, and enforce the Noahide Laws on all the Goyim, the 70 nations, as has always been in. Let's see, what else do we have in the slides? I just thought that I couldn't believe that. So let's go back to just that shot of what's underground, and let's actually read some scripture now. I didn't realize how big this actually was when they dedicated the altar, and they dedicated it at Hanukkah. We're gonna see something really crazy in scripture here as we read, but in 2 Chronicles chapter 5, we're gonna see the first temple dedication with Solomon. We will see the presence of these elders that have to be there. It says, "Thus all the work that Shalom made for the house of Yahudah was finished, and Shalom brought in all the things that David his father had dedicated, and the silver and the gold and all the instruments put he among the treasures of the house of Elohim. Then Shalom assembled the elders of Yasharel, and all the heads of the tribes, the chiefs of the fathers of the children of Yasharel, unto Yerushalayim, to bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahudah out of the city of David, which is Zion," city of David, Zion. This is Mount Zion. This is where we are to be headed. "Wherefore all the men of Yasharel assembled themselves unto the king in the feast which was in the 7th month." So we see it taking place at Tabernacles. Of course, what do we see now? They want to do this at Hanukkah. which is means dedication. So Hanukkah, which is more or less Christmas for us, the festival of lights. It's not Torah, but they want to dedicate around the winter solstice, of course, as they worship this sun image here. They want to do it at Hanukkah, but Solomon does it at the Feast of Tabernacles, and that's the appropriate time. That's the prophecy of Zechariah. All nations will come up to the Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot. And all the elders of Yasharel came. There's the elders, and the Leviim took up the ark, and they brought the ark and the tabernacle of the assembly and all the holy vessels that were in the tabernacle. These did the priests and Levites bring up. Also King Shalom and all the assembly of Yasharel that were assembled unto him before the ark sacrificed sheep and oxen, which could not be told nor numbered for multitude. And the priests brought in the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah unto his place, to the oracle of the house, into the most holy place, even under the wings of the cherubim. For the cherubim spread forth their wings over the place of the ark, and the cherubim covered the ark and the staves thereof above. And they drew out the staves of the ark, that the ends of the staves were seen from the ark before the oracle, but they were not seen without. And there it is unto this day. There was nothing in the ark save the 2 sapphires which Moshe put therein at Horeb, when Yahweh cut a covenant with the children of Yasharel when they came out of Mitzrayim. And it came to pass, when the priests were come out of the holy place, for all the priests that were present were sanctified, and did not then wait by course. What's the course? The 24 courses. That's something I forgot to mention. There's another section of this synagogue that has a section of 24 seats. So you have the 70 seats, and I guess I didn't screenshot it, where behind that is another section with 24 seats. We know that David established the 24 courses of the priests. So there's 24 priestly courses. We follow that in our Dead Sea Scrolls Zadok calendar. But it says they did not wait by their course. Also the Levites, which were the singers, all of them of Asaph and Haman and of Yeduthun, with their sons and their brethren, being arrayed in white linen. Praise Yah. Oh, low battery. So 20%. So I'm running out of time. Shalom, Wendy. Wendy has made it on here. With their sons and their brethren, being arrayed in white linen, having cymbals and psalteries and harps, stood at the east end of the altar, and with them 120 priests sounding with trumpets. Where else do we see 120? Well, we've talked about the possible 120 Jubilee cycles. We saw 120 disciples at Pentecost in the New Testament. There were 120 disciples. So here at Solomon's temple dedication and tabernacles, we see 120 priests. 120 priests. And it goes on, and Solomon does a big long prayer in chapter 6. I encourage people to read that on their own time. But then we get into Chronicles, 2 Chronicles chapter 7, and we're going to see, let's see, verse 8. Also at that same time Shalom kept the feast 7 days, and all Yasharel with him, a very great assembly, from the entering in of Hamath unto the river of Mitzrayim. And in the 8th day they made a solemn assembly, for they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days, and the feast 7 days. So we see that this took place when Solomon finishes his temple. And we know that all of these people are obsessed with Solomon's temple. Even the Freemasons trace back. Some people call Solomon the first Freemason, that they trace themselves back to Solomon. We know that they're obsessed with this temple of Solomon. But it traces back to this. And Solomon dedicates the altar for 7 days. Well, they did this at the Feast of Hanukkah, which is not in the 7th month. It's in the 9th month. The Maccabees did it in the 9th month, and they established this Hanukkah Feast of Dedication. But fascinatingly, we see this actually we see prophecy about this Hanukkah dedication. They did this in 2017, and in I believe they did it in Hanukkah 2018. 2017, I believe, is where Trump moved the U.S. Embassy to Israel, and that took place around Hanukkah. Wow. And then they dedicated the altar at Hanukkah in 2018. So remember, I mentioned, was Israel established in 1947 or 1948? Was their 70th birthday in 2017 or 2018? It's kind of hard to decide, because you could say either or. You could say both. I tell you what, let's go ahead and read about these 70 elders and Ezekiel chapter 8. Let's first go there and see the similarities. It says, Ezekiel 8, and it came to pass in the 6th year, and in the 6th month, and in the 5th day of the month. I just thought, man, that's crazy. It could have been 666, but it was 665. As I sat in my house, and the elders of Yahudah sat before me. The elders, okay? The elders of Yahudah, okay? The elders sat before me, that the hand of Adonai Yahuwah fell there upon me. Then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins even downward, fire, and from his loins even upward, as the appearance of brightness, as the color of amber. And he put forth the form of a hand, and took me by the lock of my head, and the Ruach lifted me up between the earth and the heavens, and brought me in the visions of Elohim to Yerushalayim, to the door of the inner gate that looks toward the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provokes to jealousy. And behold, the glory of the Elohai of Yasharel was there, according to the vision that I saw in the plain. Then said he unto me, Son of Adam, lift up your eyes now the way toward the north. So I lifted up my eyes the way toward the north, and behold, northward at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entry. I don't know if that could be this here, but he said furthermore unto me, Son of Adam, see you what they do? Even the great abominations that the house of Yasharel commits here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary? But turn yet again, and you shall see greater abominations. And he brought me to the door of the court, And when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. So remember, this is right below the western wall where everyone goes to weep for Tammuz and do all these rituals. Then said he unto me, Son of Adam, dig now in the wall. And when I had dug in the wall, behold, a door. Maybe the door to this, maybe he was seeing this. I don't know. And he said unto me, Go in and behold the wicked abominations that they do here. So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Yasharel, portrayed upon the wall round about. And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Yasharel. So the 70 men of the ancients, the 70, and in the midst of them stood Yaazan Yahu, the son of Shaphan, with every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. Then said he unto me, Son of Adam, have you seen what the ancients of the house of Yasharel do in the dark? Every man in the chambers of his imagery, for they say, Yahuwah sees us not, Yahuwah has forsaken the earth. He said also unto me, Turn yet again, and you shall see even greater abominations that they do. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of Yahuwah's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. And apparently there's a section of the wall where only women go to pray. Just thought I'll throw that in there. Then said he unto me, Have you seen this, O son of Adam? Turn yet again, and you shall see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of Yahuwah's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of Yahuwah, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men. So 25. Now remember, there's a section of 24 seats. Now, I don't know, it's just off by one, but I just find that interesting because we do see them making a lot of mistakes, and you know, it seems they're trying to replicate 24 elders like in heaven in the book of Revelation, but these 25 men with their backs toward the temple of Yahuwah and their faces toward the east, and they worship the sun toward the east. Then he said unto me, Have you seen this, O son of Adam? Is it a light thing to the house of Yahudah that they commit the abominations which they commit here? For they have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger, and lo, they put the branch to their nose. Therefore will I also deal in fury, my eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity. And though they cry in my ears with a loud voice, yet will I not hear them. And then in chapter 9, we get to where the mark is put. The servants are sealed, but what does it say? Well, let's read a few verses of chapter 9. He cried also in my ears with a loud voice, saying, Cause them that have charge over the city to draw near, even every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lies toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side. And they went in and stood beside the brazen altar, and the glory of Elohai, the Elohai of Yasharel, was gone up from the cherub, whereupon he was, to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And Yahuwah said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Yerushalayim, and set a tav, or a mark, upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So if we want to be sealed with his mark, we need to cry out against all these abominations. And to the others he said in my hearing, Go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the tav, and begin at my sanctuary. Wow. Then they began at the ancient men, which were before the house. And he said unto them, defile the house, and fill the courts with the slain. Go ye forth. And they went forth and slew in the city. So we see then this slaying that begins with these ancient men, these 70 elders, which goes all the way back to Enoch, all the way back to the book of Enoch, this establishing Yahuwah's holy establishment of 70 elders. He even did that with Moses. He even brought forth 70 sons of Noah and 70 sons of Israel or Jacob. So they are trying to corrupt this establishment, which is, of course, a product of Yahuwah. And we see all this abomination in Ezekiel 8 and 9. Well, that brings us to Haggai Chapter 2, and that puts me down to 10% battery. I'm going to go ahead and actually plug in my phone and hope it doesn't overheat or anything. Yeah, I'll go ahead and plug myself up, because I do want to be able to finish this. But this is where something really interesting happens about Hanukkah in Haggai Chapter 2. Let's see. Verse 1. In the 7th month, in the 21st day of the month, came the word of Yahuwah by the prophet Haggai, saying, Speak now to Zerubbabel, seed of Babel. And Zerubbabel was the one who would go to build and establish the temple. The son of Shealtiel, the governor of Yahudah. So he would be the governor. They would not have a king, they would have a governor. And to El-Yahusha, the son of Yahuzadek, the high priest. So Yahusha is the high priest. And to the remnant of the people, saying, and remember, they're going back to rebuild the temple. The second temple. Solomon's temple is destroyed. Well, this seems to be prophetic towards the establishment of this, what they want to do, the third temple, which is abominable, because we know that we are the third temple. The veil was rent in two at the time of Messiah, so they can't build this thing. It will be abominable if they do. Who is left among you that saw this house in her first glory? And how do ye see it now? Is it not in your eyes in comparison of it as nothing? Yet now be strong, O Zerubbabel, says Yahuwah, and be strong, O Yahusha, son of Yahuzadek, the high priest, and be strong, all ye people of the land, says Yahuwah, and work, for I am with you, says Yahuwah Sebaot, according to the word that I covenanted with you when ye came out of Mitzrayim, so my Ruach remains among you, fear ye not. For thus says Yahuwah Sebaot, yet once it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land, and I will shake all nations, all 70 nations, and the desire of all nations shall come. We see a Messianic prophecy. This is in connection to Coma, the constellation. The desired one shall come. So it's Messianic prophecy, can be first or second advent of Messiah. The house with glory, says Yahuwah Sebaot. The silver is mine, the gold is mine, says Yahuwah Sebaot. The glory of this latter house shall be greater than of the former, says Yahuwah Sebaot. Now, I think certainly that can be of the New Jerusalem, greater glory, of course. And in this place will I give peace, says Yahuwah Sebaot. And here we go. In the 24th day of the 9th month. So Hanukkah is the 25th day of the 9th month on the Hebrew calendar. That's when Hanukkah falls. So this is, the day before Hanukkah. And it says, in the 2nd year of Darius came the word of Yahuwah by Haggai the prophet, saying, and this can actually be 2 years of Darius, who is actually Darius is probably Cyrus. And Cyrus is the one, Trump was a type of Cyrus. They put Trump on the temple coin when they did this dedication of the altar. Trump was a Cyrus type. Well, here it says the 2nd year, but this can be 2 years or both years of Cyrus. Okay, so this may not mean the 2nd year of his reign, but this could mean both years or 2 years. Came the word of Yahuwah by Haggai the prophet, saying, thus says Yahuwah Sebaoth, ask how the priests concerning the Torah, saying, if one bear holy flesh in the skirt of his garment, and with his skirt do touch bread or pottage, or wine or oil, or any meat, shall it be holy? And the priests answered and said, no. Then said Haggai, if one that is unclean by a dead body touch any of these, shall it be unclean? And the priests answered and said, it shall be unclean. Then answered Haggai and said, so is this people, and so is this nation before me, says Yahuwah, and so is every work of their hands. So we can refer this to it's unclean. And that which they offer there is unclean. And now I pray you, consider from this day and upward, from before a stone was laid upon a stone in the temple of Yahuwah, since those days were when one came to a heap of 20 measures, there were but 10. When one came to the press fat for to draw out 50 vessels out of the press, there were but 20. I smote you with blasting and with mildew and with hail in all the labors of your hands, yet ye turned not to me, says Yahuwah. Consider now from this day upward, Hanukkah, from the 24th day of the 9th month, even from the day that the foundation of Yahuwah's temple was laid. Consider it the foundation of Yahuwah's temple. So we know Cyrus, gives the proclamation to rebuild the temple, the foundation of the temple. That comes from Cyrus. And then there's 70 years, okay? And that's in Isaiah 45. We've gone over that. Is the seed yet in the barn? Yea, as yet the vine and the fig tree and the pomegranate and the olive tree has not brought forth? From this day will I bless you. And again the word of Yahuwah came unto Haggai in the 24th day of the month, saying, speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Yahudah, Zerubbabel, seed of Babel. He was still a Jew or a Yahudi, okay, but he was born in Babylon, so he was named seed of Babel. And it just makes me ask, Trump would be a seed of Babel. I will shake the heavens and the earth, and I will overthrow the throne of the kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them. And the horses and their riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother. So there we see maybe a apocalyptic reference to the horses and their riders. And we see that in Revelation. In that day, says Yahweh Sebaoth, will I take you, O Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, says Yahweh, and will make you as a signet, for I have chosen you, says Yahweh Sebaoth. So I certainly think that Zerubbabel was connected to Cyrus and this chosen person of Babel. The same way Nebuchadnezzar, we started out in Daniel 2, he was the head of gold of that statue. So there's chosen ones, and even called Mashiach. Cyrus was even called Mashiach, anointed one in the Hebrew in Isaiah 45. So, but it mentions the timing of Hanukkah for having to do with this temple, and they performed this at Hanukkah. So I think that just at the 70th year of Israel being a nation, the times we're in, just there are so many signs, it can hardly be wrapped our minds around. But I forgot the introductory verse of all of this. Now's a good time to read it. It's Messiah. Messiah says, at that time Yahusha answered and said, I thank you, O Father. He said, I thank you, O Father, Yahweh of heaven and earth, because you have hid these things from the wise and prudent, and have revealed them unto babes. That was Matthew 11:25. Praise Yah that it is that. People can't see this stuff. They just can't discern. We exposed CERN, by the way, but they can't discern the times that we're in. Yes, Jeremy, exactly, Trevor. People, they cannot discern the times. But it's being revealed. We don't have to be wise and well, we need to be wise, but the wisdom of this world is being brought to foolishness. And so one last time where the real temple, not this fake stuff, but the real temple and the altar dedication, is Revelation chapter 11, when we will truly see this. And I do believe that this will happen at the fall feasts of him really making his tabernacle amongst us in the second advent of Messiah. It says, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, rise and measure the temple of Yahuwah, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple, leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the other nations. There we see the other nations. Sukkot Tabernacles is really a feast for all nations. Solomon dedicated the Feast of Tabernacles to be, and the house of prayer to be, for all nations. And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. And then we'll see the two witnesses, which we don't have to read that. We get to the end of the chapter. It says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe comes quickly. And then we come to the seventh angel. It says, and the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Adonai and of his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders which sat before Yahuwah on their seats fell upon their faces and worshiped Yah, saying, we give you thanks, O Yahweh Elohim Sebaoth, which are and was and are to come, because you have taken to your great power and have reigned, and the nations were angry, and your wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that you should give reward unto your servants the prophets, and to the Kodeshim, and them that fear your name, small and great, and should destroy them which destroy the earth. And the temple of Yahweh was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his covenant, and there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail. So that's the seventh angel. That's the last trump. The last trump. The kingdoms of this earth become the kingdoms of Adonai and the Messiah. So there it is. That's the true temple dedication there. And so, you know, this will all fail. This is all, you know, corrupted. But however, it is still incredible prophecy coming to pass that they are trying to produce this heavenly replica. So that completes our Sabbath study. I'm sorry wow, we're at 1 hour and 51 minutes. Did you have anything to add, Ryan? Or thank you, Cindy. Says good teaching. Any anointed passages you wanted to share, or testimony or anything? Or
I'm okay. Did you want to do Revelations? Did you want to read Revelations 2, chapter 3?
Revelation. Oh, I forgot. I did forget about.
I've had it sitting out here for.
He reminded me at the before we went live about. Yeah, go ahead and read that one. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna read chapter. This is Revelations chapter 2. I'm gonna start in 8, so we get an idea of who's saying this. This is red letters.
Red letters?
Yep.
Praise Yah.
And unto the angel of the church of Smyrna write, these things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. And then we get another. Flip over one chapter to chapter 3. Chapter 3, verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee.
Yeah, praise Yah. So it mentions them which say that, so they are Jews and they are not. Okay, so that's sadly that's what this is, because Paul interprets that for us in Romans 2, is that a true Jew is one who is a Jew of the heart. And of course they've believed in Messiah as their Savior, and that's not the case as what we're, of course, of people who write these evil protocols. They're not followers of Messiah. They just want to dominate and control the whole world through violence and force.
Mm-hmm.
So, any good comments here?
There's been a lot of comments about the chickens.
I saw one about the rooster being loud. You want to show the chickens?
I was just throwing softballs at them to try to get them to shut up.
I think you're. Let's see Ryan's ranch, Jeremy says. I agree.
Ranch.
Yeah, I plugged my phone in, so I have a little battery.
You got 16%.
SOS, Wendy said. Yes, SOS. Synagogue of Hasatan.
Yeah, it's not like made up, like Yeshua said it, you know.
All 5 stories. I don't know what you're referring to, Laura, there, but go ahead. Why not? We really want to see chickens.
We could take them showing the chickens, I suppose. It's a mess out there.
Let me see if I can turn the green screen off, actually. I should be able to. Yeah, there we go. There.
Booyah. It's us in the
flesh.
flesh.
Now we can see there's the banana tree. And this is what I saw. This was in the house last time I came. I came in January with my son. And so he planted that now. It kind of filled up the house. But let's flip the camera around here. There we go. Did you hear that water running the whole time?
I was asking people if the sound quality was good because of all the background noise. They said it was good, but I do have a microphone, so I can plug you in next time.
Oh, I never have really used a microphone, but I've used my headphones, which kind of operates as a microphone.
Go see the chickens.
We're just doing some grounding, some barefoot action. Praise Yah. And I think he said his parents are coming over for a Bible study, so that's cool. Look at this. We're out in the cornfields. I mean, across the street, cornfields. I mean, over there, cornfields. That's all it is cornfields out here in the sticks, in the boondocks. There we go.
Trying to get them out here. It's a little hot. They go in
Feed
inside
them.
when the sun's up like this.
Feed me.
Yeah, see, she's like, that's too hot out there. I'm going back in.
Oh,
Get some shade.
They don't like the heat, huh?
Yeah, I'd show you the inside, but it's a mess.
You don't have to put a roof over this thing?
No, I have one bird that will try to escape here and there, and she just gets out and runs around all of our mulch beds and tears up our mulch beds, and then she'll get thrown back over. It's kind of like a discipline thing. Like, I'm trying to teach her just not to do it, not to jump out. But yeah, they can fly over this if they wanted. The only reason you need a roof is for like hawks or something. And a lot of these birds are big enough to take care of themselves against hawks. The smallest birds you see I got right over here.
The smallest birds?
Yeah,
Oh, you have more over here.
those are 4 hens that were kind of getting picked on by the rest of them.
Oh,
so they're in here to kind of heal up. Yes, you can
heal.
see all their backs. They got, they got beat on by the boys.
Oh, wow.
It's brutal, man.
Each other, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Come over here, I'll show you the tomato garden.
Shalom, Lindsay. Shalom, Karen. How many chickens and roosters do you have, Ryan?
Altogether, we don't know exactly because we just got another 8, and I believe most of those will end up being males. So hopefully we'll get some hens out of there, but the 8 I just picked up are meat birds, so mainly we're going to be eating them, but if we do get a rooster, we'll be breeding them too. But altogether, I would say 23 chickens.
23, wow.
Different ages, three different years, different ages.
Awesome.
So the oldest chickens, this is their 3rd year with us. They're not quite 3 years old, but...
Shalom, who was that I saw?
This is how I'm doing my tomatoes this year, in the cages. Now last year I had them all roped up with a wire.
Sister Payne. Shalom, Sister Payne. Yeah, this looks good.
Yeah.
I got some of those. That's is that cucumber?
Yeah.
Those look awesome.
This is a
man.
vining cucumber here, and those are bush type.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and we've already picked off some 9-inch.
You got some little baby tomatoes already coming.
Oh yeah, we got some bigger ones too.
And this is in Ohio. What in the world?
And then tomatillos over there with pepper bed over there.
Oh wow. Y'all are gonna be self-sufficient, no problem.
And that's a strawberry bed. Now early, and then they're gone in 2 weeks. You got to get out there and pick them while they're fresh.
Did you get
some jam? Yeah, we've got some frozen.
Oh wow.
So yeah, we get strawberries every year. Now this year I'm taking that bed, which filled out by the way last year. I'm taking that bed and I'm taking all of those strawberries out, and they're all going to go out here in this. Crazy. And y'all delivered.
Oh, so transmission is weak. No.
To be grateful and rent. It's like you really want to own economic situation. You know, we don't.
Camp.
Kind of lost service when we walked out here. All dark.
I know. But this is, and here's me.
We always got beautiful chemtrails in Ohio.
That's mine. I'll be working for my parents. Yeah, they always have, they have a lot. I could tell last night the way they were covering the moon. Yeah, they always have nice chemtrails when I come to Ohio, for sure. There's such beautiful chemtrails. Buffering. Having trouble reading. Your friend needs to do a follow-up on how he owns the ranch. Your phone was breaking up while he was explaining it. No way. Yes, so everyone is invited to Ryan's place.
Shabbat Shalom, Mishpaha.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom. You know, we can all live right here. See how many campers you can fit
at least 15 campers out there, man.
Totally.
We got to learn how to run our own energy. We got to learn about the hydrogen cell. We got to learn how to, pull electricity out of the ether. There has to be a way we do this.
Electricity out of the ether.
Yeah.
That's so true. Sandy, Shabbat Shalom.
We got to get it down, family.
Wendy, it's not buffering anymore. Yeah, Karen also has an awesome ranch out there in Arkansas. Wouldn't it be great to have the feast there? Yes, Sister Payne. Yes, I agree. Organic strawberries in Jamaica from nearby farms. You might be able to get the
my neighbor
seeds.
again.
Yeah, they've been shooting off guns.
I don't know what he's doing, if he's just cleaning the barrels or what. He's not usually a shooter. Now, we can be a shooter if you want to go out in the woods and get wild.
We could shoot guns today, Ryan said.
Heck yeah.
Tell us all about your illegal weapon. No, just kidding.
Oh, I have none. My wife owns them all.
Oh, your wife owns them all. Blame it on the wife. So I guess we want to end it there.
I mean, it's a long stream.
Yeah,
so
it's a really long one.
They've been very patient. They covered a lot.
Yeah, that I could have done 2 Shabbats out of that, but
yeah. I mean, I think you should cover a little more of that packet, like on another day. you know, maybe
Yeah.
not Shabbat, but another day. I think it should just be journalized, like in a video format for people to hear, because a lot of people don't know this stuff about, you know, the strategic plans that they have developed throughout all these years.
Yeah, they've infiltrated the churches very much so.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they were able to shut the churches down, close the churches, make them wear masks. I remember the last church I was a part of, they made us have to wear masks, and it was a recovery church. It was for recovering addicts, and we would have to share what we were going through with a mask on, talk through the mask and everything. I mean,
Praise Yah for the churches that didn't close down. There was a handful of them.
oh, nice.
Just a handful.
Uh-huh.
But praise Yah
That's
for those
true.
churches.
Praise Yah. True. That's true. It wasn't 100%
There were a
effective,
handful
but-
of them that understand the separation of church and state, which is the way it should still be today.
And there were some places they actually fined them for having church.
Yep.
So in the States, you know, we're not talking overseas, we're talking here in the States. So we can see how they're trying to accomplish it, and it's,
Church is married to the state.
yes, exactly. It's not separate. So let's go ahead and end it there. Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Praise Yah. Matt Bolton, Shabbat Shalom. And we'll see
Worship.
everyone. Maybe tonight we'll read scripture tonight.
Yeah.
So at 9. So we'll be back in the Psalms. Shabbat Shalom. Blessings in Yahusha's name. Amen.